Hello guys and girls, Bored now back with you for more television rambles. On this video I will be talking about Spides, episode 5 of season 1, and it is called Kontakt. I say that because it's a German title, so I'm sort of doing a bit of translation. I may have butchered it, it could be completely wrong, but I looked on IMDb and the spelling is Kontakt, so I'm guessing that might be German for contact. But I could be completely wrong. I apologise if I am. So yeah, pretty eventful episode this week. I think it's a better episode than the last couple anyway. Where to start? I'll actually start with the plot involving Dave and the Russian mob boss, the one that collapsed at his door at the end of last week, all drugged up. So, of course, with the whole police department in on like the corruption, Dave decides to handcuff the mobster to the radiator, and that's a classic, handcuffing a crook to a radiator. That feels like it's right out of an 80s movie or something. That's just classic. I would so do that if I was a cop, and sort of one like Dave, a daredevil, a maverick of a cop, playing outside the rules. So he handcuffs him to the radiator, and they kind of make a little pact because the Russian guy, who I still say his voice sounds more American, he says, "Hey, can you help me get my son back? My son's been corrupted, he's been drugged, he's not himself. Can you help me, save him? And if you do, I'll give you information, valuable information on the whole business, the whole affairs." So you've kind of got this unholy alliance almost between them. And actually, probably the highlight of the episode, I think, is when Dominique is called in and she comes round, and she's such a badass. Actually, she definitely looks like Skin out of Skunk and Nancy. And so at one point, the cheeky son of a bitch actually flirts with her, and so she's got this great line where she says, "Well, you're a cop killer, so flirt with me again and I cut your balls off," which is awesome, apart from the fact that he actually seemed to get a thrill out of that. But it was a great line, actually. Anyway, it's total badass. So anyway, that's going to be an ongoing plot, I think, them sort of working together. And again, they've figured out at this point then the police, the department, they're sort of all in on it and corrupt, so they can't really trust them. They have to do it outside unofficial sort of channels. Also Dominic, we get a little bit with her father, where her father helps her out a bit finding the location of the warehouse. So that's a thing. We get a little bit into their relationship, a little bit into then they haven't had the best relationship. But I guess on the Nora front, there's this whole thing in this episode where her brother gets involved, and he is kind of one of the gang now as well, because he sort of helps them out. He looks stuff up on his computer and again finds the location of this warehouse, because the episode opens with Nora actually having one of her trippy little dreams, and the warehouse kind of pops up in the dream. So I mean, who knows? This is sort of quite out there, but the brother kind of looks up the location, and this is the location of the club and of them basically like spotting people and handing them drugs, and that they become the next sort of users basically. So her and Peter at one point go to this club late at night. I forget the club's name actually, but it's the one from the first episode. And they see people targeting certain like clubbers, and we also find out then the police are involved in that. They really go the whole hog in this dirty cops, because they're actually involved in targeting potential bliss takers outside the club. And also Nora recognises someone from the calf, someone who's there, and she's concerned about him because he could end up being drawn into like this whole thing. But Peter is sort of cautious about them not getting seen, not getting caught. So he kind of persuades Nora to get away, even though she's concerned about her friend, who she knows from the calf, and is concerned about him. There's a few like little scenes with Peter and Nora. He again helps her to get more information about the past with her at the hospital. So at one point the doctor lets slip that she actually knows about Nora's dream. She knows, because without Nora like actually making it clear what happened in the dream, when she brings up she was attacked by this creature, the doctor actually like mentions then it was like a spider or something. So she lets slip that she actually knows more than she's letting on. So there's that. There's also the fact that the doctor is still trying to I think just manipulate Peter, and I think she still believes that he's on her side. Then he's actually, going with Nora for information, and so that he can manipulate things on that end. And she's using the fact that he's like her intern. So there's this whole thing. And it does get quite cringy at one point, because she says to Peter, well, are you having sexual relations with her? And I think what's funny about that line is then at first I thought she was like grossed out about the idea of them together, or she thought it wasn't a good idea. But by the end of the conversation, she's actually encouraging it, because she's like, well, how are you going to get close to her if you don't have sexual relations with her? And another sort of funny line, I think it's when they're at the club late at night. There's this sort of funny gag about Germany, Berlin being like all industrial type thing, because Peter sort of says about, oh, you don't mind like being like attacked by toxic chemicals or something like that, he says, and Nora's kind of like, well, it is Berlin, so we're sort of used to that. So that's a pretty fun little joke. But there's some weird stuff going on in this episode, because there's a scene near the end where Nora's actually being harassed by these like drunken guys on the night out. Like she walks past them outside a pub, and even though it's meant to be a creepy scene, it's also quite trippy, just because one of them's dressed as a bear, and he's like the mate of like the guy who's harassing her. And I actually feel sorry for the guy in the bear suit, because he's sort of minding his own business, and he's actually telling his mate, hey, leave her alone. But it's this odd sort of scene with him just randomly wearing a bear suit. But he's actually the one who gets the worst end of it, because Nora, at this point, she's high once again, thanks to Trixie, I think her name is, who's been tracking her again. Because actually earlier in the episode, she returns Nora's wallet, and she of course took it, but it's that old trick. She returns it, so then Nora thinks then, hey, yeah, I just lost it, and she found it, sort of thing. But yeah, she again has some sort of mind control over Nora. And yeah, Nora just loses it in this scene. She goes after the guy in the bear suit and starts using her powers. And yeah, things sort of get out of hand. There's also stuff with Luca again in this episode, with him not being the best house guest, let's say, because of the fact that he has a gun, which Peter doesn't get, and it kind of kills like his sort of mood when he finds out he has a gun. But then it's explained, well, I'm a target potentially, so I have to have protection. Not that Peter goes for that, but that is something Luca mentions. But yeah, it's quite funny him pissing Peter off. Not exactly being the model sort of house guest. And yeah, so that's the whole thing. So Luca's kind of working with them as well to try and protect him. So there you have it. I think that's about it. I thought it was a better episode this week myself. But that's episode 5 of Spides. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I hope you've been enjoying my reviews of it. Little more vague this week, maybe just because it's been a few days, nearly a week since I saw it. But that's Spides anyway. Like and subscribe. Just a couple of other things to flag up. I've been doing a couple of live streams this week. I did a Buffy one actually tonight, just a few minutes ago. Couple of Buffy episodes. Quite a turn up for that, so that was pretty great. And also at the weekend on Saturday, I did an Invisible Man live stream, a watch through of that, sort of to mark 250 subs. So thanks everyone for supporting the channel and those live streams. Well, the Invisible Man one's up now. The Buffy one will go up later, so you can check them out. And yeah, thanks a lot, and I'll see you guys again soon. Goodbye.